I'm Sherri, a CEO, speaker, coach, and author. As a business leader, I'm on a mission to empower women everywhere to embrace their most authentic self by challenging what you already know, then stretch to consider a different perspective. I share moments with people all over the world who are already on that path and are willing to share that perspective with me. Join me as we transparently consider this. Hey. We are back. Listen, this is Consider This, Pretty Girls Work. I'm so glad you're here with me again today. Consider this as a Pretty Girls Work Network podcast, if you didn't know already. And in this podcast, we have conversations that explore how to, as business leaders, how we can become our most authentic self. You know, we have so many decisions to make, what to dress like, you know, how to speak up in meetings, what to say, what not to say, how to encourage our teams, our employees, our staff to tap into their own authentic brilliance and then stay committed to the vision and to really be connected to purpose. And then we still have to be authentic. It's a lot. Well, in these conversations, we are going to consider something different perspectives. Yeah, different thoughts, seeing things from a different angle. And hopefully we'll be able to become authentic together, become closer together, and consider things from a different perspective. This is Consider This. Well. During our last podcast, if you didn't hear from it, if you didn't hear it, you really should go back and listen to it. We spoke to Lauren Ernst, and we are speaking, this whole season is going to be about stories, the story behind the authentic leader, their journey, their behind the scenes journey that we never really get to see. And this whole season is about what that journey looks like, feels like, sounds like, because we see the glitz, the glamour, but we don't always know how that wonderful leader got there. How did she get so wise? How did she get so successful? How did she get so comfortable in her skin? This whole season is going to be about journeying through those stories with amazing leaders. And today is no exception. I have the amazing honor of being here today with an authentic leader. Let me just tell you a little bit about her. Okay. She is someone who is a major inspiration, not a little bit of an inspiration, a major inspiration to many, many women. We are going to be speaking to the amazing and authentic leader, and her name is Elle Mejia. You may know her as the CEO of PrettyGirlsWork, as well as This Girl Does Real Estate. That's her own podcast where she is an amazing host to other leasing agents, commercial leasing agents, more real estate agents. There's just so much that she taps into and speaks on, but I'm going to let her speak. But let me just introduce her a little bit, okay? She is a magnetic connector of women everywhere. I'm a witness to this. I would say her superpower definitely is brilliantly connecting women with other women, so that they can connect their gifts together and do amazing things. This is really what she does so flawlessly and so naturally and authentically, which explains kind of why she's the CEO and founder of Pretty Girls Work. I just got that just now. She connects people. She is someone who builds a community of career women who empower, educate, and uplift and enlighten one another. And she's a mom of two beautiful boys. She's the top global leasing agent in the T-Dot. And my dear friend, please welcome to Consider This, Elle Mejia. Yay!
Hello. How are you?
Hi, honey. I'm so excited that you're here.
Oh, I'm
Listen,
so excited to be. I'm always excited for a conversation with you, though. So,
come on, because it's always authentic. It's always real. I just wanted to say, first and foremostly, for those that don't know you, can you just give us a little synopsis? I know I did a little bit, just a little synopsis of what you do, what
I
you
never
actually
know how to answer that question. I feel like I live for doing like a million things. I'm kind of like a serial entrepreneur, but
sure, sure.
I'm the founder of Pretty Girls Work. So Pretty Girls Work is a community for women founders and entrepreneurs specifically, and not just for community with each other, but to give them the tools and the resources they need to be able to launch and scale their businesses. To their own definitions of success. And my own personal business, I am in real estate. I'm in retail leasing specifically. So I am a leasing manager for one of, or if not the largest landlord developer in the country. And I handle the retail leasing in their Ontario portfolio.
Yes. That's only a little bit of what she does. I'll just say that right now because she's always on the go. If she's not creating an event for women to come together and share and network and help each other,
It's
then
my favorite thing.
it's her superpower. It's her superpower. And this season, as we've spoken about before, I really wanted the season consider this to be really about the story behind it because people see the glamour, the glitz. Wow, you present so well. Wow, you speak so well. Wow, you do this amazingly, and don't really understand what got you to this place, and don't really understand as well that you're still journeying. There's still so much more to do. There's still so much more to
Absolutely. To
accomplish.
learn. Absolutely.
Yes. So one of the things I wanted to say first and foremostly, thank you for being a guest here. Thank you for being a friend of mine, always being an inspiration to me. I say this all the time, like you're just someone who always has my mind. You're in my head because
Oh,
you'll do.
the feeling is so mutual. I love our phone conversations. We'll get on, and I always intend for it to just be, you know what, this time it's not going to be business. This time I'm just going to call her. I'm just going to ask how she's doing, how's her day going, and it always turns into like a 30-minute brainstorming, strategizing session,
It
and I
just
love
goes
that.
that way. It just goes that way. But we always get personal eventually. But it goes that way because there's such an electricity that between us, and I feel like half the time you're in my head already, and then it inspires other thoughts, and I'm like, you know what we can do. But it's so life giving. I just wanted to say that, like, it's really life giving to be able to connect with someone who's not jealous of you, who is celebrating you, who wants you to see you do well, and will do things to make sure that you show up and do succeed. Like that is very rare. I want to just say straight up, thank you so much for being you.
Oh, well, I appreciate the words I received that. I hope it's not, I hope it doesn't continue to be so rare.
I
Because
know.
whenever I tell people, my circle of girlfriends, that's just the cattiness and the competitiveness that I hear about, I don't experience in my circle. And I think I don't know if I always appreciate the fact that that's not everyone's experience.
I
And so
was
I hope
gonna say, I wish
clarity.
I could say that. I wish I could say that. I have experienced that. And it is rare. It is rare. That's why when it's experienced, I need to speak on it. I need to acknowledge it because it is rare. Unfortunately there are people that are dealing with insecurities and it pops up in relationships as well. But what I love about Pretty Girls Work is that there's a safe space. It's such a safe space emotionally as well as professionally to come in and say, here's an idea I had. Who's good at this? Or is there someone who can teach me how to do A, B, and C? Or whatever it is. And it's just like, yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got you. And it's that type of love. So I love the fact that who you are, you created a community for that, and we can all thrive in that. So thank you for that. So let's just get into these questions because I got questions, girl, and inquiring minds want to know.
Let's see if I have answers. I don't know.
So when you think about your journey, did you realize that you were going to actually impact as many women with Pretty Girls Work that you have actually impacted? Because I remember when we first met and you were so sweet. You're like, I got this little blog. And I was like, oh no, it's not a little blog, honey. This is a major empire and you're going to impact a lot of people. And I saw that a long time ago, but did you realize that? And when did you realize it? When did that become like oh, I think this is more than a blog?
Well, I mean, it was that. Actually, you know what? I don't even know if I would say it was that conversation with you. I think that you were the first person to put it out there into the universe, and I don't think I believed it when you said it.
Okay.
And I don't think that most days I believe it now. And I don't know if that's a coping mechanism for me. I really value the individual relationships that I make in the work that I do. And so I tend to focus very much on the individual and the individual project and the individual's business and in building those relationships. Like, I feel like, sometimes I wish that it was still possible for me to have those intimate one-on-ones that I feel like I've had with Pretty Girls Work up until maybe last year. So I don't know that I focus so much on impacting a collective of women. But I'm glad that it's happening as long as it's happening in a positive way, and as long as it's the love and light that I feel is what was really the basis of Pretty Girls Work, then I'm all for it. Yeah.
Got you. Well, I will say to you that I think, again, people, I'll just say this just for the jump, for every listener that's listening as well or watching this, usually gifted people are the last to know that they're gifted. I'm just going to say that out loud. So I think that you're really gifted. And I think that, yes, there comes a time where we have to go, maybe that's a gift, and not just see it as just something that you naturally do. But I let's just dig a little deeper on, like, how was it, how it was and how it is now. So where did it start? Where did I think I need to build a community for, where did that start? And have you always been like that, like at high school or it's, middle school?
No. I've been solo. Like I've rolled solo for like most of my academic career. I was always kind of a little bit weird, but I never bullied or anything like that. But also just very comfortable. Like, I never wanted to be like, there was never a yearning for me to be a part of the popular crew. I was very comfortable in my own skin. But I was probably misunderstood from very, very early on. So building a community was never top of mind for me. Really what Pretty Girls Work started as was me being very analytical. I was in a very male-dominated industry. When I started off in commercial real estate, I started off in the industrial sector as well. So it was all truck terminals and warehouses and land deals, and a lot of 60-year-old white men saying, what do you know about my $1 million properties? So I started reading a lot of self-help books, and I started trying to glean advice from people who I considered to be experts in the field, and following that advice to the T. I really looked at it more as a project, like it was an exercise in making sure that I was able to make it in my industry. But a lot of the advice that was out there in the books that I was reading were very contrary to my nature. It was women can be successful in business as long as you kind of downplay the fact that you're a woman. So it's, wear dark colors, wear your hair back in meetings. When you're in meetings, speak in a lower tone of voice, because that's scientifically proven to be more well received, and just all of this stuff that made me successful as a numbers game, but didn't make me very happy. And so I started Pretty Girls Work as a blog because I was interviewing women who were successful, even if it wasn't in my field, but who I considered to have reached the level of success that I was aspiring to, but who did it in a way that felt more authentic to me, because I do fall very specifically into the feminine. And so I wanted to get advice and encouragement from women who had done what I was trying to do. And I think the community almost came as a side effect of that, because I think that there were so many women who were in that place. So I've never been, and I've never branded myself as a how-to person. It's kind of like, well, if you want to come along with me and figure this out as I figure this out, let's go. But I think that's how the community kind of organically built itself. And I talk about this sisterhood that I've built in adulthood, which I think is phenomenal, because I don't even think that I appreciated the impact that community has on your life personally and professionally and spiritually and in all of these different aspects until I was actually surrounded by it myself.
And you know what I will say? So what I'm hearing from you is that you just always been welcoming. You just always had a welcoming way about you. And I will say that I'm a testament to that, because, being able to say, well, I don't need to be with the popular crowd. I don't need to be this crowd, but I just always wanted to understand how to do well in my business. but then still stay authentic to myself. Let me ask this lady, or let me interview this. Like
Mhm.
that is a very magnetic personality. So to me, I would call that very welcoming. Because not a
Mhm.
lot of people reach out and say, can I ask you this question? A lot of people are intimidated by others, and they'll feel like, oh, they don't have enough time. They're not going to ask me.
You
You
would be
know,
surprised the people who will respond to you if you just reach out with a question.
I agree. I
And
agree.
the caliber, like even when you talk about, oh, these people who supposedly have, oh, they have 1 million followers in no time, and the people that will take their time to respond to you and to help you out with a question that you may have about, a shared industry or a shared interest. I think a lot of people would be surprised by that. People aren't as closed off as we like to pretend they are in our heads.
I agree with you 1000%. I think that it's just taking that little step of what will happen if I just ask the question. And I love the fact though, but what I'm hearing is like naturally, because you came in to my office one day, you're like, hi, we're gonna be friends.
Yes, you
And it
used to
was
sit
like,
next door. Yeah,
yeah,
we were working in the same workplace, and your office was next to mine, and you would sing Ed Sheeran every
yes,
morning.
oh my
And I
God.
decided that was my type of people. And I'm like, she doesn't know it yet, and she's not going to know we're friends until I tell her that we're friends. So,
Yeah. And but it's just that spirit that actually, draws people to you. I think that that's another element of, I'm just trying to get behind the scenes. What is it about Elle that makes her this person that people are magnetically drawn to? And I think it's just your way of seeing the world. Like, I'll just ask this question, or I'll just approach this person, and if it works, it works, and it doesn't. But it's just that courageousness. And I say courageousness because a lot of people honestly are intimidated. And I agree with you. If we were to think about, let me just ask this person and see whether they have 10 million followers, 1,000 followers. A lot of people are very open to have conversation, but
Mhm.
we put people in pedestals. We put them
Oh yeah.
on pedestals, and we put them in categories like they are, woo, they're over there. They're done it. They've arrived. And in truth, they're just a human being. That's
Yeah.
all they are. So that really, I love that you just see everybody as human and just approach them that way. I think that's a great way of seeing it. What would you say if you were to think about like a time though, as you've grown and journeyed, that was personally or emotionally really hard for you, yet you continued to go through your career during your career, but it helped shape you to be the person you are today. Share time or tell me of a time that's happened as well, because I feel like as well within the pandemic that we just hopefully are coming out of right now, there's just been a lot of things that people have been dealing with
Mhm.
emotionally, internally, within families, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's affected a lot of people's careers, business moves. But and I know you personally, I know you've gone through a lot of things. Tell us of a time that you've gone through something during your career and have still been able to say, okay, I'm going to get on the other side of this. And it made you better and it made you
Well,
stronger.
I mean, and this is a very common situation I find. Maybe in my situation a little bit more extreme, but a very common situation that I find for women in general, and it's kind of revolves around finding balance between what and really defining. And I talk to the women that I talk to them about defining their version of success, because it's not a one size fits all. And so
Right.
finding the balance between what you consider to be success, what that looks like in your personal life, what that looks like with your children, with your
Right.
partners, with your companies, with your businesses, what does that look like for you? And that can be a lot of trial and error. So I know for me, especially my goals when it comes to my real estate,
Yeah.
my goals tend to, and it's just kind of my personality type anyway. My goals tend to be bigger than most. Whatever number you give me on a piece of paper is nothing compared to the number that I have in my head, and that's what
Right.
I'm working towards. And so the level of success that I wanted to reach from a financial standpoint in real estate meant certain sacrifices. So a period of time that I'd say was really difficult for me was when I started doing the global retail leasing, which I knew I wanted to do, because I knew, just as a matter of learning the ins and outs of my industry, not just in my my neighborhood markets, but on a global scale, it was a phenomenal opportunity for me to be able to see transactions through across 5 continents. But it also meant me traveling to 5 continents, which would have been fantastic if I didn't have a 4, 5, 6-year-old at the time.
Right.
So having to miss out on days when, oh, sorry, I can't go to the soccer game on Thursday because turns out I have to leave for Singapore tomorrow. And the fact that my son started becoming so comfortable with, with mommy having to leave on such short notice was something that didn't sit well with me. And it taught me a lot about what I was working towards. It taught me a lot about what I wanted, because what I essentially want, and I talk a lot about dollars and bank accounts, what I really mean is freedom. What I really want is time. And that's what I've been working for this entire time.
That's awesome. And I love that. I love that. The reason why I ask that question is because I feel like a lot of times we go through things and then it's just like, oh my God, that was such a hard time, but don't necessarily glean the lessons that we actually get from those moments of challenge or, hardship, we call them, or just really just difficult times. And there are times that we can actually glean and say, oh, wow, you know what? That allowed me to put things in perspective. We thought things were in perspective, but no. Now things are really, truly in perspective now, because I realize I don't want my son, for example, in your situation, I don't want my son learning or connecting with me through the back seat, or used to, in your car, going from meeting to meeting, or, saying mommy can't be there at this particular time. So I love that it didn't break you, but it did make you say, I'm going to change this a little bit. I'm going to do things differently so that I can have more time and that he doesn't have to get used to me doing that. And I say that out loud because I really want listeners to really understand that we all, as business women, have challenges. We all have hard times where things are not like, they come in seasons and moments, but they're not the way we want them to be. They're not ideal. Don't give up. Don't throw away the baby and the bathwater. You know what I mean? As my mother would say, don't throw it all away, but really just look at it and say, okay, how do I pivot? And if anything the pandemic has taught us, it is how to pivot. It is how to change.
And for women, especially women in business, I just feel like women are built for entrepreneurship. There's a resiliency that comes with being a woman that you need when you're running your business for yourself, so that you're able to ride out those highs and those lows, because it's never going to be an easy, straightforward trajectory. So I just think that there are so many things that we've been told we need to work around in business as women, that if we look at it objectively, is actually an asset. And I think that a lot, and there are a lot of things that we're told or taught from a very early age, that women need to have on, like, women always, we wear a million different hats. We have a million things on the go. There are certain things that we don't need to be on top of. I can see, and you're the one who taught me. You talk about, people who, and the benefits that you get from the sisterhood and the community that you're in. A lot of it is just advice and conversations. And one thing that I learned from you is delegation. And I will delegate any activity that I'm not interested in. And there are so many things in my business and in my life that I'm not good at and I'm not interested in getting good at. And I'm very happy with just paying for the service at this point. So we don't have to do it all. You can pick and choose and really define what that looks like for yourself.
It's so true. I can't tell you how Fiverr.com is my good friend.
Listen, Fiverr.com. I'm now a Jiffy girl. Do you have the Jiffy app on the phone?
Yes, you told me about that one.
Come and clean my house. Come and clean my barbecue. Come and do the landscape. All of it. Do all of it.
And then give me time back so I can have more time with my family. I love it. I love it. I know that you do. Elle does real estate. This girl does real estate. If you guys don't know, check her out. The podcast is bomb. If you're a real estate agent or thinking about getting into real estate, you really want to listen. There's so many great nuggets that come in there. This is a question I ask everybody at this point in time when it comes to behind the scenes and how do we get there, because a lot of people feel like wow, global leasing agent, wow, real estate, wow, you're speaking to all these great people. How do we get there? Failure, mistakes. And so I really feel like I want to normalize that. I want people to understand how to embrace those moments, because
Mhm.
that's how we learn. We've learned like that since we were babies, right? I have a grandson right now who's going to turn 1 next month. Dear Jesus, I can't believe he's 1.
Ooh.
He's going to turn 1, and honestly, he's walking now. But when we were at the cottage, there was a friend of ours that didn't want him to fall, so she was behind him like this with her hand. And I was like, it's okay, he's got to learn how to fall, right? So the question I have here now is, what was the best failure? I know it sounds crazy to say best failure, but what was the best failure you experienced in your career? And what was the lesson that it taught you? And have you been able to teach it to others? Like when you guys have those conversations on This Girl Does Real Estate.
So this season on This Girl Sells Real Estate is the first season where I'm combining having those long form conversations with women in real estate,
Yeah.
and as well as these mini-sodes where I'm going more in depth into the work that I actually do in retail leasing, because I think people glamorize it a lot more than it needs to be glamorized. A lot of the things that I do to get success in my sphere is prospecting, and it's the grunt work. So it's how to speak to 1 million people. And I think that's really how you become successful in real estate. When you talk about biggest failure, I don't think it really is about a massive or an impactful failure as much as it is learning how to deal with failure on a regular basis, because prospecting is just, asking asking 100 people whether or not they're interested in your vacancy before 5 people say, yeah, okay, this is worth a conversation. So if you're not okay with 95 no's, and if you can't pull yourself out from underneath 95 mini failures, then you're never going to get to that success. So I think that mindset of understanding that every failure that you encounter is really just getting you closer to that success. It's a very sales mindset. Every no gets you closer to a yes. I think learning how to deal with that aspect of failure has really made all the difference for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is the thing. I really feel like every no definitely gets you closer to what it is you're trying to achieve, whether it sounds salesy or not. I really believe that, because if you didn't make the mistake, you wouldn't know what is allowed or not allowed, needed, not needed, what was too much, what was over the top, what was not enough. Like, we would not know that, right? And I think that we expect things to be, unfortunately, perfect, and there is no such thing. But yet,
No,
even though we
absolutely.
know that there's no such thing as perfection, we still strive for it, which I think is
Well, let's pretend that whatever it is that you're offering, your service or your product that you're offering, is absolutely perfect for your customer. You're still going to have to deal with failure, because not everybody is your customer. So you're going to speak to 10 people before you get to your customer, and you don't have to tailor what you're saying or change or make amendments to your personality or to your offering. You just have to make sure that you're talking to your people.
Yeah.
And that's trial and error too. I don't really think there's any getting around failure. There's no perfecting your brand or perfecting your service or perfecting your product to the point where failure isn't going to be a real part of your everyday life. And I think that it's the reaction to that more than it is the failure itself that's going to make all the difference in how you move forward.
I agree 1000%. And I think that the more we embrace that and actually start looking for, and be open to mentors that come in our lives in different ways, which is going to lead me to talk about the sorority that we actually are starting now. I'm really excited about it, because I think that when you're in a sorority, there's a support. If you don't know what a sorority is, it's just a group of women, usually in college or university, and you got a pledge to get in and all this other stuff, and you get in, and then you're in this sisterhood, right? For life, even after you come out of college. Like, you connect with these, and it's like you get dances, and you're like, okay. So anyway, the point is, it's really just that community aspect again. And I really feel like going forward, my next question was like, who was your mentor? Did you have any mentors? Because I really believe, even being a house lead, I'm a house lead. You are definitely house lead for real estate. I am for personal development. and I've professional development, and I really feel like when it comes to that, because that's my niche, because that's my area of passionate expertise, I want to speak to people that need that understanding, so I can pour out on you. It's normal. It's just going to come through. It's the same thing with you with This Girl Loves Real Estate. You sit down and you just start talking, and it just nuggets start flying out. My thought, though, is I think that people have a different perspective of what a mentor is. You think that, Lauren, the last podcast, she was like, I did a mentor proposal, and I was just like, what? What? And it's true, though, because I've had it done to me. Like, will you be my mentor? And it's like, what? So it's like, we put a lot of pressure on people, and I think that you can have all kinds of mentors in different facets, digitally, online, through a Facebook group.
Mentors you've never met.
Tony Robbins has been a mentor for years. Ian Levan Zant, like there's a lot of people that I look to, and I'm like, yeah, you've taught me this, you've taught me that. So my question to you is, do you have a mentor? And what should we look for in a mentor? What can we look for in those Facebook groups and our sorority?
Yeah, you know what? It's so personal. It's so personal. And I think that you touched on one aspect of it, is that you don't need to have a mentor. It doesn't have to be one mentor, especially when you're talking about all different aspects of your life. And I feel like that's what it is for me. I do have mentors that are chosen specifically for what it is that they're mentoring me. And most of them probably don't know their mentors. So I know, I mean, we speak all of the time about businesses, and when you talk about authentic leadership and professional development, I know that that's your passionate expertise, and that's why we've brought you in as a house leader for the PGW sorority. But that's what you should be looking for in your mentors, in that aspect of your life or in your journey. Are they bringing information and advice that's coming from that space of being a passionate expert in what it is that you're looking to them towards? And I think that's what you really need to look at for in your mentor. Like, I have mentors that I look up to for how I want to run my household as a mom and as a partner. I have mentors that I look up to in the real estate world. I think Barbara Corcoran is a phenomenal woman in real estate who I look at as an example of the success that I want to reach in my career. I have mentors in how they've managed to build communities, and the community that I want to build with PrettyGirlsWork, which inspire, it's conversations with you, and conversations with Lindsay Tompkins, and conversations with, a lot of different women exactly in my life to bring it to the point where we're like, okay, this is what we want to do. So with the PGW sorority, we do have different houses underneath it. I head up the real estate house because that's my passionate expertise. We've got a young woman who's leading the finance house because that's what she does. That's her passionate expertise. And all of these house leaders are not there as how-tos or to tell you what to do in your career, but to foster that community among yourself and other women who are founders and entrepreneurs themselves, who are working in the same industry that you're working in, and who are all working towards their own versions of success, and who happen to want a cheering squad while they do it, along with the tools and the resources and the courses and all of that we provide. But it really just brings it back to the baseline of community, because I think that that's more valuable than anything that we're able to offer for tools and resources, for anything that you're able to Google on the internet. It's the community that you build around you that's going to make it.
I agree 1000%. And when I know that I'm in a community with other women that are like-minded and in their own niche, it makes me even more so want to support you. What are you doing? Oh, exactly. Okay. How can I support you? What are you doing over here? How can I support you? And you don't feel as guarded as well to share. You don't feel, I've heard it from other women as well. Like, well, I don't want to share too much and have people take away my ideas. And it's like, yeah, that's not what we're here to do. We're here to uplift, empower, educate, push you forward. We're not here to take anything from you.
And that's the thing. When you talk about business, especially, it's hard to have an original thought. In 2021, everything's already been done. But I tell everyone, it was actually advice that I read online one day, and I always forget where I actually saw it. But they say if you think that you can't do your business because someone else is already doing it, just go to the supermarket and go stand in the bottled water aisle and look at all the different brands of water in a bottle that you can put it It's about who you're speaking to, who is your customer, and who are you, and what are you infusing into your business that no one else is going to be able to replicate because they're not you. So it's like community over competition it's not just a mindset for a lot of people look at it as it's just a great mental space to be in, a great emotional space to be in. Even if you bring it down to just numbers and cents, it's as a business strategy, it makes the most sense.
It makes the most sense.
It makes the most sense. So that building that community around you is I think it's paramount.
Yeah. What does it mean to you to be an authentic leader? What does that mean? That word, authentic leader.
I think because I've always just been so focused on the relationships, it allows me to have authentic relationships. It allows me to have relationships that are real. I don't see a point. I don't see it as real leadership if you don't have a relationship with the people that you're leading, and if that role doesn't rotate depending on the conversation. So if it's not a real conversation, if it's not a real connection with real people, then it's not real leadership.
I agree with you. I heard someone say it's a normal way of saying the customer's always first, and even within my own company, I always say the staff members are first, the customers are second, and it may be a little bit of a different perspective, but I always think of it like this: if I don't care about the people that are along this journey with me, pouring into my vision, then the customer's not going to get the best out of me, out of them, out of the vision, out of nothing. So I agree, keeping it real with the people that are on the journey with you, that's 100% true.
Absolutely.
What's next? What's next for Elle Mejia? Dreams, aspirations, goals. Tell us.
Well, I mean, with PGW, we're launching the sorority literally as we speak. We're launching the sorority. So we're just looking forward to building this community of women founders and entrepreneurs who can really, I know that a lot of women have been along for the ride and have been tuning into the webinars and the workshops and taking the courses and building individual relationships with us. With the PGW sorority, we really want you to take that relationship and start building it with each other as well, and building that real community. So that's what's on the horizon for Pretty Girls Work, focusing on building that community and building those relationships. We've got some really, really great projects coming on down the line with Pretty Girls Work as well. So excited to announce those as they come to fruition, but really just looking at making more impact and reaching more women and doing it in the way that's as authentic as we can do it through these screens still. I can't wait till we start having more in-person events too, so that we can start connecting outside of the screen, but we do what we can for now. So
yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Elle Mejia.
Thank you so much for having me.
Listen, thank you. The honor is always mine. I love you so much.
Love you more.
Bye. Oh, Elle Mejia, guys. Listen, we always leave Consider This with one compelling thought that we always want to say. If you remember nothing I've said, remember this. And if there's nothing else I want you to remember about this particular podcast, it is this. You, as an authentic leader, have a gift. It's natural. It's your superpower. It allows people to draw towards you and has you become welcoming, very much like Elle. Hone in on that. Pay attention to that. Develop that. And then share that with the world. This is Sherri from Consider This. Wherever you are, I want you to make sure that you share this video and this podcast. Like it. Subscribe to our YouTube. And be well. See you soon.